Hello, in this video we are going to look at finding equivalent fractions. Now, equivalent fractions are fractions that have the same value but perhaps look different, so use different numbers. So let's start with this example. So we are trying to find two fractions that are equivalent to 1/5. So that means they have the same value as 1/5. And we're trying to find two fractions, and we've been told that their denominators need to be 10 and 20. What we're going to start by doing is we're going to look at the first fraction and our denominator 10. And we're going to see, how do we get from a denominator of 5 to a denominator of 10? Well, I need to multiply by 2. Now, because we're finding an equivalent fraction, what we do to the denominator, we also need to do to the numerator. So I'm going to multiply the numerator by 2. So 1 multiplied by 2 is 2. So my first equivalent fraction is going to be 2 over 10. Now I'm going to have a look at my last equivalent fraction. And I could use the first fraction or the second fraction to help me with this. I'm going to use my second fraction. So I'm going to have a look at how do we get from a denominator of 10 to a denominator of 20. Well, again, I'm multiplying by 2. So I'm going to do the same to my numerator. So I'm going to do 2 multiplied by 2 is 4. So two fractions that are equivalent to 1/5 are 2 over 10 and 4 over 20. Now this next one is a little bit more tricky. So you can see we have got a fraction of 1/3 and we're trying to find two equivalent fractions. And we've been given one denominator of 9 and one numerator of 5. So let's start with our denominator of 9. So I'm looking at my first fraction, I'm looking at a denominator of 3, and how do I get to a denominator of 9? Well, this time I'm going to multiply by 3. So I'm going to do the same on the top. So I'm going to multiply by 3. So 1 times 3 is 3. So I found my first equivalent fraction. Now, to find my last equivalent fraction is a little bit trickier. And this time, I still need to use my first fraction that I've been given. So I'm going to have a look at how do I get from a numerator of 1 to a numerator of 5. Well, this time I'm going to be multiplying by 5. So I need to do the same on the bottom. So I'm going to be multiplying 3 by 5 to get a denominator of 15. So my two equivalent fractions of 1/3 are 3/9 and 5/15. Now on this one, we've got, again, two missing numbers. We've got one denominator missing and one numerator missing. But you'll notice it's the third fraction we've been given. But we can still use a very similar method. We're just going to be working backwards instead. So let's start by looking at our denominator of 10, and we're trying to find the numerator. So I'm looking to see, how do I get from a denominator of 20 to a denominator of 10? Well, I am dividing by 2. So I'm going to do the same to my numerator. So I'm going to do 10 divided by 2 is 5. So my first equivalent fraction is 5/10. Now I'm going to look at my numerators. So this time I'm going from 10 to 2. So what do I need to do to get from 10 to 2? Well, I'm going to divide by 5, because 10 divided by 5 is equal to 2. So now I'm going to do the same to my denominators. So I'm going to do 20 divided by 5 is equal to 4. So my second equivalent fraction is 2/4. So when we're finding equivalent fractions, we need to find, how do we get from one denominator to another denominator, or from one numerator to the other, and then do the same to the missing number.